Welcome to World News by Denis Halandzovskyi. If you value calm, clear, and fact-based reporting on major policy decisions and their effects, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share your thoughts. Today, we explore how the Trump administration approached immigration enforcement in its first year, highlighting major policy actions, controversies, and the human impact of new rules. In the first year, under the Trump administration's immigration order, federal agencies intensified enforcement efforts at the U.S.-Mexico border and inside the country. One of the most prominent features was an expansion of immigration detention and deportation operations involving the arrest and removal of non-citizens with or without criminal records. Border enforcement shifted to emphasize removal rather than temporary processing, with increased use of technologies, surveillance, and cooperation with local law enforcement. Officials said these actions were meant to deter unauthorized border crossings and enforce existing laws more strictly. Policy changes also included expanded vetting procedures for visa applicants and travelers, particularly from countries designated as security concerns. These measures aimed to tighten control over who enters the United States, based on administration priorities around national security and terrorism prevention. Another major shift pertained to asylum procedures. The administration introduced stricter requirements for asylum seekers, including new standards for credible fear interviews and limitations on how and where asylum claims could be filed. Courts and advocates raised objections, arguing that the changes undermined established protections and due process. Throughout this period, the idea of a border wall and enhanced physical barriers remained a central theme in political messaging, even where construction encountered legal, environmental, and logistical challenges. Public debate over these policies was intense. Supporters argued that stricter enforcement was necessary to uphold national sovereignty and protect jobs and social services. Opponents countered that policies were inhumane, disproportionately impacted vulnerable populations, and diverted resources from broader solutions such as modernization of the legal immigration system. The administration's immigration crackdown had measurable effects on individuals and communities. For migrants and families, many asylum seekers were returned or deported before their claims could be fully adjudicated. Reports documented long waits in detention, separation of families, and challenging conditions for those released pending hearings. Advocates raised concerns about the psychological and economic stress placed on migrants and their families, including U.S. residents facing deportation due to mixed status cases. For border communities, local hospitals, schools, and social services in states like Texas and Arizona reported increased strain as enforcement actions drove fluctuating flows of migrants. Some local law enforcement agencies cooperated with federal immigration authorities, while others resisted involvement due to community trust concerns. Political reaction. The crackdown became a major point of contention in national politics. Lawmakers called hearings, litigators challenged policies in federal courts, and public protest movements grew in major cities. Civil liberties organizations filed multiple lawsuits, arguing that new restrictions violated constitutional protections and international law regarding refugees and asylum seekers. International response. Foreign governments and international organizations expressed concern about the treatment of migrants and refugees under the new regime. Some diplomatic partners emphasized the need to balance border control with human rights standards, while regional discussions touched on migration cooperation and burden sharing. Economists and policy analysts also weighed in. Some noted that migration patterns are influenced by push factors such as violence, economic hardship, and climate events that strict enforcement alone cannot address. Others argued for comprehensive immigration reform that combines border security with legal pathways for labor mobility and family reunification. By the year's end, the Trump administration's first-year immigration policies left a complex legacy. Stronger enforcement and deterrence on one hand, and deep political and social divisions on the other. The human stories emerging from families, asylum seekers, and border towns underscored how immigration policy transcends legislation, affecting real lives and local communities. Thank you for watching this analysis on World News by Denis Halandzovskyi. If you found this explanation informative, please subscribe, leave a comment, and share your perspective. Independent reporting helps us understand both policy and its human consequences. Stay informed, and see you in the next update.